Welcome to another episode of the PPSS Show. My name is Fong, and today we have another great guest. This individual is a part of my networking group for a while now, and every time she speaks, people listen. She's added great value to that group, and hence I'm very, very excited to have her here. She has over 20 plus years of experience in over a lot of different types of industries, from entertainment to education, real estate, and hospitality. She's been helping a lot of her clients right now working on their work-life balance, if that actually exists. She's found the key to find that solution, helping them with their health, relationships, and personal fulfillment, helping a lot of solopreneurs and small business owners really achieve transformative results in record time. Cutting through the complexity and creating really actionable strategies for them to achieve that success. She's able to help her clients and empower them to build thriving businesses and also gain that freedom to really focus on what truly matters to them most. So please welcome international educator, number one best-selling author and speaker, business strategist and coach, Ms. LORRAINE Chai.
Thank you, Fong, for having me.
Hey, thanks for being here. Always a pleasure having people like yourself on the show because you're a person who's able to really get through challenges, get through adversity, achieve success, and while doing so, helping a lot of people achieve their successes as well. So this is a question I ask everybody who's on the show is, what's your origin story? How did you become the person you are today?
My origin story is trying to summarize all of that, right? So that's like many, many years. I guess it's me not being satisfied with what I have. And it's finding out that there is another journey out there of how I love helping people. And it always starts with that, like how you love helping people and the growth through that and taking that opportunity and path, whatever opportunity comes your way, it's taking it. And it's being friends with the challenges that come your way instead of being fearful and walking away from those opportunities that come your way.
So how did you go from one industry to another industry to another industry? Because most people go, okay, education. Well, I'm going to stay in education and they're there for their career. But you jump from education to entertainment to real estate. What was the reasoning behind that? And then also, what was the most fun out of all those industries that you've been a part of?
What was the most fun? Wow. I always love what I do. So, it kind of interlocked with each other. And I started music actually from a very young age. But with music, I also love to share my knowledge. And that was the thing for me. It was instead of keeping all the knowledge for myself, I want other people to be part of that joy that I have. So it started with me learning music and teaching from a very young age, as a teenager actually. And it was through that transition where from a musician, introverted stutterer, because I was a stutterer back then, to being a leader, organizing events kind of thing within the church community, within the local community. It's like trying to help the community grow in that sense. And I was lucky enough to have supportive parents. So, my dad's a medical doctor in his field, and my mom's a musician, like one of the top musicians in my hometown.
Um,
So it's watching in that field and being given that opportunity to grow in that sense. But I also had friends in the hospitality industry, and I was a manager in a makeup and modeling company. So I took every opportunity I had, whatever it came my way. And for me, it's the love of learning. So I love learning. I love up leveling my skills, and I love overcoming my fear. So my fear in the beginning was the fear of having the spotlight shown on me. So, and then the fear of speaking. It was the next step on top of that. So it's the continuous learning. But I was always good at resolving issues, seeing problems and resolving issues, which has led me to being a business coach today.
oh, wow. So, okay, how did you get over those two fears? Getting a spotlight on you, which is a very difficult thing to avoid if you're in music and you're performing. When
I
you're
know,
out there
right?
on your
Like,
own, the spotlight's on you for sure. So why
so
why were you afraid of the spotlight? And secondly, how did you get past it?
I am a perfectionist. My mom's a musician, number one, which means that everything I do on stage she'll be criticizing. And being a musician, there's always not a good point. It was always about what can you do better? Or it's like this is wrong. You shouldn't be doing that. Shouldn't be doing this. You know, it was a very negative approach. And a lot of performance, we accept a lot of these things like, okay, what are the things that we can do better? It was not until I came across a jazz singer who was actually my late teacher, and she helped me change that concept in terms of not only what is there that you can improve, but what was the great thing about your performance. So that kind of helped me in terms of my confidence, because it was always, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm always going to make a mistake. So hang on a second, I've got something great here. So it's growing that part of it and say, okay, how can I change my skill set here that I need improvement to something that I'm really confident in. So that changed. But the thing, what really helped me was when I came to Australia as a student, I threw myself in the deep end in terms of going to every acting school and joining the modeling company. I was dead scared, but that was the only way of facing my fears, is by throwing myself in the deep end. And the thing is, once you're on stage, you can't back out.
Mhm. So you're always going to be having that spotlight on you. Is there a situation where it did not go according to plan, where you're in the
Always.
spotlight, something went very, very wrong, and you so wanted to stop doing it? What was that moment like, and how did you take that as a learning opportunity?
So with performance, with speaking, things don't always go according to plan, no matter how much you practice, right? And it's like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna allow fear to take over, or are you going to change it accordingly? A lot of people tend to freak out, which is where you can see them freaking out on stage. And as a person from a background of educating and stage performance, because I also used to be a stage manager, I can see those coming out. So it's, for me, it's like, okay, just take a step back, and it's okay for silence. People tend to forget that silence is also part of performance, right? It's the lingering silence where you get people to think back on what you just said, or try and absorb the information that you've just given. So with that, a moment of silence is the opportunity for me to gather myself and go, okay, it's okay, and remember to breathe. Because when we freak out, we stop breathing, right? And that means our brain stops working, and all our expertise stop flowing. So it's like, what do you do? Okay, you just stop and take a moment, and remember that you are the boss, you are the key of that event. It's not letting fear take over. But one of my lecturers mentioned back in the day, he says to be friends with fear rather to let fear take over. So no matter where you throw yourself in the deep end, whether or not it's in your own business, in public, or any space or environment, it's not allowing fear to take over, but rather facing it with head on, and facing it as if it's your friend that you've never seen for years.
Nicely done. I could relate a little bit to that. I I had one situation where I was about to perform on stage. I was about to sing, and I did one. The mistake I did was I was practicing reciting my lyrics all the way up until the moment I went up on stage. And sure enough, the last time I recited my lyrics, I messed up on one part, and that stuck with me. So when I was singing on stage, that was the exact same spot where I forgot my lyrics, and there was a good 2 to 3 seconds of dead silence, and I felt so bad. And it just I couldn't get over myself at that moment. And then I kind of learned, well, that's happened. I know how it feels. Don't practice until the very last moment before you get on stage because you know your stuff. So it's one of
But
those
it's making a joke out of it, though.
things.
It's making it where it's conversational, right? Like for me, if you blunder up on stage, you have the opportunity of making it part of your act, or just make suddenly changing it to a conversation with the audience kind of thing. So it depends on what kind of performance you do. It's how quickly can you improvise in a way. It's like when you're speaking with client, and then when you blunder, like it just happens when you blunder, or if you're on stage presenting, like, and it so happened that you forgot that point that you're supposed to say out, or you say something and it didn't make sense to you, right? So it's trying to improvise, and it's the art of improvising as quickly as possible to benefit the listener. And at the end of the day, it's all about the listener. Like, how can you give and provide value towards the listener or the audience out there?
Yeah, that the improvising thing is so important. And that's something I've worked on a lot. Like, for instance, you going through situations where you get people to throw like impromptu questions at you or putting yourself into difficult situations to see how you react to them and kind of train that muscle so that when things come along that you don't expect, you could work towards it and get through it. If what happened back then happened now, I could probably, I don't know, throw the mic in front of other people and go, "Hey, sing along," or just hum along or something like that. But
Yeah.
I can't do that now. It's kind of in retrospect.
So
But
I didn't realize you were a singer though.
I dabbled. Let's say I just dabbled.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough.
So for yourself, you also said public speaking was something that was very difficult for you. Did you attack that the same way you attacked the spotlight? Did you throw yourself into the deep end and go, "This is what I'm going to have to do"? And guess what? I'm going to do a big talk in front of a whole bunch of people for the first time.
So here's the thing, right? I've been performing since I was six, and that was because my mom's a musician, so I had no say in the matter. But my first speaking spotlight gig was actually in my early 20s. So it's very clear to me at that particular time as an introvert trying to come out of her shell. At that particular time at an event my mom was hosting, or my mom was running with somebody else, where the MC didn't show up. The MC didn't show up for the event and everyone was freaking out and they didn't have a solution. And then here I am, 30 minutes in, watching all the chaos that's happening before the doors were opening. And I said, look, I'll MC, no problem. Let's stop worrying. I'll do it. And they're like, are you sure? Are you sure? Do you know what you're doing? It's like, I've got this. Like you don't want to freak people out. You don't want to show that you don't have that talent. You want to take that opportunity, right? So for me, it's like, okay, great. So for me, in my experience being in events or whatever seminar, right? I usually fall asleep. Sorry, lecturers out there, if you're watching this, but I usually fall asleep because it's usually presenters are quite boring, and they are so boring that it's not that I don't respect them, is that when there's no interaction and when my brain doesn't work, I unfortunately I fall asleep, and that's how it happens to me. So on the stage, he was like, okay, I'm putting myself as the audience. How can I interact to the audience in terms of making it fun and a pleasure for them to be there rather than a bore and I don't want to be there. So that was my approach to that. And surprisingly, the stage fright kind of left me. That was the first time. And I remember throwing out questions, getting them to interact, and getting them to move a little bit, and just being interactive rather than just standing and presenting. All right, the next person is blah, or welcome everybody, and thank you, kind of thing, like opening, closing, and blah. That's quite boring. So that's the way that I approach my first one, is how do I want the audience to remember me by? And that's the tip that I've always brought with me on every presentation or any um, uh, workshop that I run, right? Is regards to how do you want your audience to remember you? How do you want your clients to remember you? Is how I teach my clients themselves. How do you want your clients to remember you by, instead of, oh, I can't remember what I learned out of that event.
Yeah.
It was great, but I don't know what's happening.
That is awesome. I mean, to have that realization at such a young age and for your very first time is incredible. Because I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a lecture where the person is boring, is energyless. It's so hard to sit through, but you don't wanna be rude. But in
Yeah,
retrospect, it's like, you know what? This is feedback for them. You need to up your game. And you knew that right at the get-go. And I would say that for somebody like yourself to do that at such a young age, that it really propelled your speaking career a lot faster because you realized that so soon. It's not about you, it's about the audience. It's about having them
absolutely.
remember you by, which is so important in the speaking world at least.
And actually, from that moment was when I had a couple of people, like, older people, right? Everybody that's older than you at that age is like, wow. So I had a lot of people that came up to me. They're like, oh, well, how long have you been doing this gig? I was like, oh, this is my first time. It's like, oh, really? You sound like really professional here. It's like, oh, great. So that kind of inspired me to do more presentation, and speaking in public, but not allowing fear to take over. And remember, fear comes in, a lot of shape and sizes. It could be you tensing up. It could be you losing your voice or completely forgetting your speech, where you're dependent on a card. If you memorize the script and then because you're so fearful, you forget everything, it comes in many shape and form. And it's the same with meeting clients. Like if the client is someone that you really respect, or the prospect is someone that you really respect, and then what happens if you freak out? So it's, as you said, it's developing that skill of improvisation, or is trying to improvise in that time, because we don't have the script of our day, isn't it? It's not like we wake up and say, okay, this is a script of what's going to happen today. It's, this is what we plan to have today, and then we live through our day where we improvise, right? So that's how I look at it. It's like not being afraid of improvisation, but it's taking that into account and just doing whatever challenge or whatever that comes your way, and just letting it flow.
Exactly. How do you keep how do you make sure that your ability to improvise is kept up? Like, is there something that you do on a daily basis where you keep your mind active so that you can act on the spot, like logically?
Logically, that's a good one. Logically,
Because sometimes it's not logical,
well,
right?
I know, right? So now, not so. Back in the day, was more of putting yourself out there. So people are like, oh, I'm an introvert, I'm not going to be successful. But hang on a second, a lot of like we've been in spaces where a lot of entrepreneurs, 8 figures, 9 figure people, all these successful people were actually introverts back in the day too.
Yeah. A
So
lot of
success can,
speakers, right? A lot of speakers I've asked,
absolutely.
they're like, "Oh, I'm an introvert." I'm like, "Really?" And then the thing is, once
Mm.
they're on stage, they're able to turn on the switch, right? So yeah, continue.
But it's that confidence, you see, it's the confidence of being seen and being heard. I think we're so fearful about making mistakes that we don't take into consideration that mistakes help us grow. So through the process of growth, like that's how we always learn to pivot and become better all the time.
What has been some of the most challenging moments in your life? When it comes like it sounds like you went through the speaking thing already, you went through the spotlight thing already. After that, when you walked into the whole coaching, being a business strategist, you're helping other people and working with other entrepreneurs. In that stage, what has been the most challenging?
That's a very good question. So challenges comes in many shapes and forms, right? And the thing is, what I've learned is the bigger you grow, the more challenges you will face. And the more challenges you face, it's not really just more, is the bigger the challenges are, where it seems scary, right? And when I help my clients, it's the same thing, where I see myself in them back in the day, where at that particular moment you feel like that's a huge challenge, but the more you grow is like that challenge is actually quite small.
Yeah.
So the way I see challenges in a sense, I can't really specifically say that's one or the other is like worse or bigger, only because at that moment it may be different. But for me, facing challenges, it's like, okay, what can I do to solve this quickly, right? Quickly, how can I resolve this quickly, and how can I do it better, and how can I move on away from it? Because it's like, I like this word where it's not good marinating in bad sauce. It's better to clear out the bad sauce, and if you've done a mistake, and move away, and you redo your chicken, let's say in a new sauce. You don't want to marinate in the bad sauce and then present your meal to somebody or guests, right? So try not to marinate in the challenge or the hardship that you have. It's more of how quickly can I resolve this to move on so that I can continue to grow.
I mean, I've tried salvaging bad marinated meat, and you can't fix it.
I know.
You have to start all over, rinse it all out, redo the whole thing, or else
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Don't linger too long in the bad marination, right? Try and move on, and then try and salvage it as much as you can.
something that you help your clients with is helping them find that work-life balance that we mentioned at the beginning. Is there such thing? Is there a such thing as work-life balance? Can people actually achieve that? Or is it just things that people say to get people to listen to them?
I thought about this actually. And this was a thing that I was thinking about the last couple of years. And the thing is, I think people tend to label things with words. So most half of the time, I use words that people use because those are the languages that people associate themselves with. A lot of people I've noticed in the higher level community with this 6, 7 figures, they see things differently, right? It may mean the same thing, but it's just the words mean different. So in terms of the work-life balance, as we call it, with people that we associate with or people that associate with that term, it's more of how do you manage not just your time, but how you manage your energy. How can you manage your energy well enough to maximize your productivity through the day, whether or not you are feeling 100% or whether or not you are not feeling 100% through every day?
So, okay, so how does one manage their energy? What do you do on a daily basis so to ensure that you have the right amount of energy to, attack all the stuff that you have in your life? Because you have so many things going on. You're a speaker, you're an author, you're an educator, you have family. How do you make sure that you have enough energy for all that stuff and still be functional for yourself?
Yeah, my friends and clients think I'm crazy with that. They're like, "Do you actually sleep? You're working with different time zones here." Well, for me, it's knowing what I want accomplished, right? And it's for me is dangling the carrot in front of me because it's not like I'm working for somebody else. I'm working for myself. And the thing is, if I don't inspire myself, if I don't have a goal for myself, it's not going to work. So I'm the one that has to motivate and inspire myself in order to move forward because the change happens with the decision of the person in order to move forward. So the carrot that I dangle in front of me is the vision of how I see my life in, let's say, 5 years. And the thing is that vision and that's how I help my clients in terms of creating a vision, is that vision can continuously grow, but you need to know in exact detail in terms of the smell, the location, the color, like, I want a big house. I want a 5 bedroom house with nice bushes and blah, blah, blah. Like maybe not to the detail where, okay, the texture is going to be rough and stuff like that. Like it depends on how detailed you want to be. But for me, it's dangling that carrot. It's like, okay, and how quickly do I want to achieve this? Is this an urgency or is this just a daydream? So for me, it's something that I want to live in, a life I want to live in. And then I work backwards from that. It's like, okay, how quickly can I reach that dream towards that? And with the clients that I coach and my friends that follow me, I'm transparent in terms of my goals and they're aware in regards to they're like, wow, like you really achieved everything, Lorraine. You've achieved like 100% of the goals you've actually spoken about. And it was the same with I was talking with my designer, my designer that designed my clothes. And from the first day I walked through his studio to the day to day, like there was a transformation towards that. And there's a lot of gossips, as you can imagine, with fashion designers. So it's through that transformation and with my photographer as well. It's like how quickly can you progress to achieve those goals? And how is it urgent to you? Is it something that's really important, or is it just a daydream that you are not serious about? Because to me, it's like not wasting any time. For me, that's the case. It's like I don't want to waste any more time. Like I am 40 today. People think I'm 25, I'm 40 today and I don't have any more time to waste. I want a life ahead of myself. I want that freedom in terms of not only helping people, I also want a freedom in time for myself as well, where I can do more with my family.
Well, I could totally see why people still think you're 20. So you look awesome.
Thank you.
With regards to you working with clients, and because you mentioned about the dreams and also if it's actually important to you, right? And that's how you differentiate stuff that you could actually work towards and stuff that is not really feasible. When a person comes up to you and go, okay, this is what I want to work for, this is what I want to get, this is what my goals, how do you help them work through it so that so that you kind of differentiate for them, you know what, this is a daydream, but this is an actual goal. What are some of the things that they say that you can go, okay, yeah, because you said that, that's more of a daydream. Like, how do you differentiate that?
People's wants that you look there's a I know there are the difference between the daydreaming and the vision, right? But I think it's more of what you want, what you absolutely want. That is the vision of what you should be working towards. To the daydreaming means it's more of a person that doesn't know what they want and they want everything. It's like, oh yeah, I want that, it's like a kid that wants to learn the violin, wants to learn the piano, wants to learn the guitar, wants to play soccer, wants to do everything, and it's not decisive in terms of what they want to choose. That is how, some people may be in terms of, oh yeah, I like to have a house, I also like to travel, but they don't have that focus in terms of how they can achieve it. So with coaching with my clients, it's like I help them find that clarity in terms of working towards what is important now first, what is important, what's the vision they see, what's more important for them to work towards too, and then they can always branch out when they have the time and the capacity to do so. But let's find a pinpoint focus. Let's find that carrot. Let's find that carrot in order to work towards two first. And then when you earn that carrot, then you can decide or not whether or not you want to branch out. But it's more knowing what you want first within your life and your business, instead of I think what they call it is the shiny object syndrome.
Yeah, squirrel.
So that's the
Squirrel.
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 Squirrel, yeah, yeah. So like that's the daydreaming syndrome. I would say it's the fact that you don't know what you want and you're sidetracked so much that you don't achieve what you actually really want to achieve.
Mhm. Now, talking to a lot of people on this show, lots of them have gone through from one career to another career, or one path to the path that they're doing now, like speaking or coaching and whatnot. There's a lot of what do you call it? That mindset of people that go, you know what? You spent so many years in this industry. You spent so many years studying for engineering or for to be a doctor. Why waste all that time to do this now? So my question to you now is, you've gone through so many different industries. What have you taken from those industries that have helped you fulfill to become a better coach now?
Look, my colleagues, my family still think I'm stupid for doing that, because I came up from a position where I was a consultant running the entire of Australia, helping a business running entire Australia. I had high positions in Australia and in my industry, my education industry, my music education industry. But for me, I wanted to be challenged. I love people. I love helping people from different industries. And the way that I see my growth is they all intertwine with each other. So the fact that I was a stage manager helped me see all the little bits and pieces on stage and how to control my perfectionism as a musician. It's helped me through the confidence to say, okay, how can you present yourself in terms of the voice? Like I already knew when I was in my early 20s that I was going to be an international figure. I just didn't know what kind of industry it was going to be. I knew that I was going to be seen. I knew that I was going to be my brand. I knew that I was going to, like, people are going to know me internationally, but in terms of what, I didn't know. So through that process of the vision of me being international, what does that look like for me? Being Asian, I hate to bring this card back, but it's being Asian, but it's getting rid of my Asian accent because I'm from a Malaysian background where it's a very strong Malaysian accent. So I had to get rid of that because people don't take Asian accents seriously from an international level. So it's like, okay, what kind of voice or what kind of sound would people resonate with on an international level? So I practiced, I changed the way that I spoke. I recorded myself, which is what people hate doing. I recorded myself. And the first thing I did was I watched myself first without the sound because people hate hearing themselves. And then I put the sound on the minimal volume.
Yeah.
And then I got more courage in terms of leveling up because that's how I want to grow, right? But if you're that scared, you have to start from somewhere. So I started with that. And then through the makeup and modeling, being a manager and managing restaurants and all these things, like it's given me leadership skills. It's given me the opportunity of interacting with people from different industries because people in different industries behave and think differently. So they all intertwine. People think that they don't, but I take every single journey that I've gone through in terms of something that I've learned that helped me today with my clients as well as myself continuously grow.
That is awesome. I'm very glad to hear you say that because I guess I'm not the only one because when I watch myself sing, I actually turn off all the sound and analyze myself walking around and moving around. And then I would turn off the video and just listen to myself. and then slowly I'll merge the two together. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to look at it now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's cringy. Look, it's gonna be cringy because we are our worst critic, right? We always want to present ourselves as like the best and perfect. But we have to also understand that there's not really such thing as perfect because even robots can't be perfect, right? So
Exactly.
it's more of how can you I love this word, how can you improvise, how can you work yourself way and whatever happens on the spot, like how can you make it seem natural at that particular time rather than oof, like that's not the best. Being professional, being a professionalist.
So, in this day and time, what are you looking for most right now? Are you looking for partners? Are you looking for certain clients in a certain different industry? What exactly are you kind of striving towards?
I am still continuously looking in terms of growing my coaching business. So, I do have more space now. This year, I've created more space now because people have been asking. So I've created more space where I've got more time to take in more one-on-one clients. I am still looking for solo entrepreneurs as well as small business owners that want to be unstuck, wants that clarity, wants to be able to gain back the time that they are so craving. Because I realized that a lot of solopreneurs, small business owners want to have time with the family. In this day and age, it's more about the family, right? I want time for my family because I never had that time back in the day, maybe. And it's with me, with juggling all these businesses, time zones, and stuff like that. I can call myself an expert in terms of the management of energy and time as well. And as we spoke, like you wouldn't have known that I'm actually sick at the moment. So it's like, how can you manage, being unwell and not having that as an excuse, but trying to work as best as possible in the moment without, putting aside your energy in that sense, is maximizing your time so that you are present, right? It's all about being present. So I help clients in terms of gaining back not just the time, but also regaining that energy in terms of growing their business to something that they want.
That is awesome. And I really appreciate the fact that you brought up the sickness now instead of at the beginning, because that's like oomph. See, look at me. I look totally fine. I'm amazing, but I'm actually sick.
Yeah.
So nicely done there.
Woe is me. Thanks.
All right. Let's say you're on the world stage and you have one message to share to the world. What's that one message that you would love everybody to remember Lorraine for?
The one message I'm going to say is what I wished I heard when I was younger is don't let anyone stop you from achieving what you want in life because that slowed my progress. So don't let anything stop you from achieving what you want, whether or not someone says that's a stupid decision or what are you doing? Are you crazy? Like, don't let that stop you from achieving. If you truly believe deep down that that's what you really want, go for it. Challenges are going to come. That's normal. Don't think it's not going to be normal, but challenges are going to come. But take as much help as you possibly can. Like, be open for help. Don't try and be a superhero and try and do it all yourself.
Awesome. Nicely done. Actually, I do have another question that just kind of came up, and that is how do you function on, I don't know how much sleep you get, but you're international, you do multiple different timelines, time zones. How much sleep do you actually get, and how do you manage that energy? You kind of talked about it before, but like how actually do you do it? Do you go for runs in the morning? Do you do meditation? What's your strategy?
Okay, so the conference that we went to, I only had 2 hours of sleep every single day for 7 days in a row.
That sounds right.
And yeah, right. And it was like, okay, how can I function as well as possible? Set up alarms, like, okay, this is what I want to achieve for today. Had like 5 cups of coffee spread out throughout the day. For me, with the different time zones, it's like that's okay. Like, I need to help my clients at this time. What can I do to maximize my energy? Is it energy drink? Is it caffeine? Is it maybe mini naps? Because mini naps do help. I don't do drips. I know some people do the health drips things. If you can afford it, by all means, if you can do it. If you're somebody that believes in it, then do it. Everybody works differently. I think it's more of find something that works for you, right? Because what works for me may not work for you. So in my healthy days, and if I have time to to squeeze in, I do, go for a quick sprint. For me, the sprints help me think, and it's kind of a reflection of, okay, this is what is going to happen today, or this is what I can do to change the day. So sprints, occasionally I do like just I take myself away from the screen because work is a lot on the screen, and kind of just walk around and kind of just go, okay, immerse myself in nature in terms of, all right, reflecting, right? The word reflecting. Because if you just go, 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 you don't have time to reflect in terms of what worked, what didn't work, and what you could continue doing in terms of your life and your business. So for me, it's all about let's move on. Let's fix this, let's move on. Let's fix this, let's move on. So I don't have time to hold a grudge. I don't have time to linger and marinate in bad sauce. So so that's the thing. It changes all the time. If I have the opportunity, if there's a piano there, I tinker on it. If I have time just to kind of clear my mind a bit. If something is stressful, I change things around, make things fun. Instead of having the same meal every day, I tend to change things around to make things a little bit different. But in a routinely kind of way, I need to know what is happening through the day. I need to know what is happening, what needs to be achieved, what is importance, what is the maybe line, and what is less important. So most important, the maybe line, and what's less important, and work around it where I'm functionable in terms of achieving what I want to achieve.
Great.
So it's not about less of sleep.
Mhm.
It's not about lack of sleep sometimes. It's more of also listening to your body. So if your body says that you really need to recover and you really need to rest, then sure, I'm going to sleep more instead of just a 2 hour sleep. So it really, really depends, Fong.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad I asked that question because part of that answer, you also alluded to the fact that you don't dwell on grudges. You don't dwell on marinating in the bad sauce. And I think a lot of people are so fixated on the negative stuff that it takes away so much of their energy and so much of
Mm.
their time that they could have used that for something much, much, much better. So thank you very much for that. Now, before I let you go, I got 5 quick rapid fire questions. Give me the first things that comes to mind. All right. You're stranded on a deserted island, one food to eat for the rest of your life, no consequence. So you'll still be healthy, you'll still be fit, but you could eat this for the rest of your life.
That's hard because I'm thinking cheese. And
That's
I
the
don't
first.
think that's healthy though. So I don't
That's
know.
fine. That's the first time I heard cheese though. That's nice. Hollywood calls and goes, "Hey, Lorraine, we love your story. We think you're so inspirational. We would love to do a biopic of you. Who would you cast to play you?"
Ooh, that's an interesting one. It really depends on the day and age, really, isn't it? Oh, I don't know. That's a hard one. Um, to play me. I mean, if it's back in the day, maybe what's the name? The Malaysian actress people say that looks like me. The one that played Michelle Yeoh, but
Awesome.
she's way older than me, so I don't know.
I'm sure AI will do something. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
So Michelle Yeoh shows up at your door and says, "Hey, I got casted to play you. Let's hang out. Let's have some fun." And you go, "Hey, no worries. I got the night planned out for us. We're gonna have fun." What does that night out look like?
Going back to our roots. So Michelle Yeoh is actually Malaysian, and she's won a lot of awards as an actress. So to come out of that, like I would bring her back to the roots, because that's like, it's good to come back to the roots and kind of reminisce in terms of what we grew up with.
Awesome. Now she's hungry. And you go, "Hey, I got that covered too. Come on back to my place. I'm gonna fix you my most famous dish. This is the best thing I can make." What's that special dish?
My duck, I call it hoppo duck. My
Ooh,
mom taught me how to make that duck. So that's my
ooh,
favorite one.
nice. Last question. Give me a number from 1 to 5.
1 to 5, let's say 2.
1, 2. So the word is corn. Okay. So if you had to use corn as a metaphor for success, how is success like corn?
How is success like corn? So corn has a lot of kernels, right? And corn doesn't just the kernel doesn't just pop out and then the kernel is all there. The kernel grows, and if it depends on the time you pick the corn, sometimes you have corn that's like really tiny, you still can't eat it yet, right? And there's some that's built. Through success of life is we have to build stages in terms of being a nicely matured corn to eat. So build up all those tiny little steps towards your success, like the corn.
I see that. So that's how success is like corn. Thank you very much for your time, your wisdom, the advice that you've given today. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you? And then also any final words from you?
The best way is through social media. Actually, if you just type my name, it'll pop up anyway, Lorraine Chai. If not, it's solopreneur 2, the number 2 entrepreneur, and I will be there in social media.
Awesome. Any final words?
Final words is why wait? I would say why wait because waiting means that you're not serious and it's not of urgency. I would say let's eliminate all excuses. If excuses pop up automatically, let's work towards that, like eliminating all the negativity and then working towards the success that you actually want rather than waiting.
Awesome. That's a great way to end this right now. And that's like a mic drop statement right there. So thank you very much. She's Lorraine. My name is Fong. Until next time, today is the day to log your peak potential. We'll see you later.